Did I just ruin a $4,000 guitar? You tell me. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Guitar Gear Trader. I am Steve, coming at you as always from Nashville, Tennessee. Today, I want to talk to you about modifying guitars and how do you modify guitars? Do you modify guitars? And all things modifications. Also, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody. I know it's early. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. It's only the 14th as of right now of November. But that tree has been up for a couple of days now. And the rest of the house just got decorated as well. So we celebrate Christmas real early down here. So so let's talk about modifications. And the reason that I'm even doing this video is because I got my hands on, I'm not going to show you the whole thing because there's a spoiler down below, but I got my hands on this 2016 Gibson ES-355 made in the Memphis shop a couple of days ago. I traded away my 1971 all original ES-355 for this beauty right here because I, as you know, am a really big Noel Gallagher fan, and Noel Gallagher plays a 1964 Gibson ES-355. So I always wanted a 55. I had one in the past. I had a maroon one or a wine red one that was basically the exact copy of Chuck Berry's guitar, except it didn't have the Varitone switch. I got it out of the Gibson custom shop, demo shop on Reverb for a very high price. I overpaid for that guitar big time, I think. But it had the big Maestro Vibrola on it. It had all the, ebony board and the block inlays and the really fancy headstock. It had everything except the Varitone switch that Chuck Berry had on his original guitar. But that didn't bother me anyway because I wasn't I've not heard a lot of great things about the Varitone switch in the past. Also, one thing that kind of led me to this video was a friend of mine over at Guitar Gear Connection, my friend Paul, who over there does a lot of Beatles, or mostly Beatles related videos. He has a country gentleman, a Gretsch country gentleman, like George's. And he recently made a modification on his where he put mutes. So a mute is a little felt pad that sits right underneath the strings. And there are two knobs on the bottom of the guitar, and if you flip those knobs or the switches, it lifts the foam up and it mutes the strings. And you can mute the top three strings or the lower, the high three strings, if you just lift up these knobs. The guitar that he had was a reissue and didn't have those knobs on the guitar, so he drilled holes into the top of his guitar and installed those buttons. They weren't functional, they were just aesthetic. But it looks now more like George's guitar looked. So when I got this guitar did not have, there's our spoiler, this guitar did not have that Varitone switch right there. It was just blank 355. Now if you take a look at this thing, it's absolutely gorgeous. I got this from Austin Vintage Guitars. And I was looking for one of these for a very long time because the only ones that I could find out there on Reverb and Facebook and all the other places, either one, they're not cherry, and I have to have a cherry one. I want it to look like Noel's, right? I want it to look just like Noel's, cherry red, gold hardware. And a lot of them are like black, which I don't want, or they're like walnut. I don't want that. I want a cherry one. And a lot of the cherry ones that I found didn't have a Bigsby. They had a Maestro Vibrola, which I would have taken because I could always change that out for a Bigsby. But a lot of them now, if you go on to Gibson.com, if you want to order one, they only have stop tails, right? So they only have the stop tail bridge right there. They don't have anything below it. And to install a Bigsby on a stop tail, you have to take the stop tail off. You have the 2 holes. You'd have to have the custom made sticker there or plaque there. And Noel's doesn't have that. Noel's is just like this, factory Bigsby put on it. So I was searching around on Reverb for months. Every day I would go on and, type it in, ES-355, see what I do is I sort them by recent, so I don't look at the same ones over and over again. And every once in a while, the only ones that were up there actually were vintage ones. They were all from the 60s, and they want $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 for these things. Every once in a while, they would have a 70s one up there, and that one would be $6,000 or $7,000, and that was still, the $6,000 or $7,000 ones weren't exactly in the best shape. Some of them needed neck resets and things like that. Well, one day, one of these pops up. Not this one, but one of these pop up, and it was a very reasonable price. It was $3,900. Now you might be saying, wow, that's insane price, but for a brand new one from Gibson, you're going to spend around probably $3,000 before tax on one of these brand new, if not more, because that would be more like a 335 or a 345. The 355s are like the custom, like the Les Paul custom version of the 330 series or the 335 series. So if you were to buy a new one, you'd probably be in for around $3,500, brand new. So this guy wanted $3,900. So I was like, oh wow, that's the cheapest I've seen it. It's not vintage, and to be honest, I wasn't looking for a vintage one. I just wanted to have one in general because they weren't making them really anymore, like this anyway. So I noticed he was in Hong Kong, and the tariffs coming from Asia would have been around $1,000 through AI calculations. I asked ChatGPT, I don't know what the letters are. I asked AI how much it would cost for me to get that guitar shipped to me in Tennessee from Hong Kong. They said anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000. So on top of that, I might as well buy a vintage one, right? And deal with, some of the issues of having a vintage one, but at least it would be a cool vintage one. So I emailed him on the side on Reverb, as I usually do. I'm waiting to get kicked off of Reverb for that, but I do it all the time. So I email him. I'm like, hey, I'm really interested in the guitar. Do you think we can chat offline about this? Ends up, he's a pilot, and he flies into Toronto, Canada all the time. And I was like, well, if you fly into Toronto, I know I'll still have to pay import taxes, but it'll be way less than if I paid him from Canada. And then he said, I actually, every once in a while, once in a blue moon, I'll fly into JFK, which is in New York City, and I wouldn't have to pay any tariffs if he shipped it from there. So he was very gracious and said that he would hold it for me until he flew into New York. And he told me, he's like, listen, if anything else comes up, just buy it. Don't worry about me. He's like, I'll find someone to buy it. I'll sell it. No worries. So I still looked, I had him in mind, and I knew I had that backup, but I kept looking, and all of a sudden this popped up last week. And I think I got it the same day they posted it. And it was from Austin Vintage Guitars in Austin, Texas. And the nice thing about a shop on Reverb like that is that you can call them up directly because they're a storefront. They're not just some person in their house. You can call them up directly because you can find their number on Google and you can discuss a sale like that. So they had this listed for $5,100 or $5,199, so $5,200 on Reverb, plus $150 or $175 shipping, plus tax on Reverb. So you're looking at, if you're looking at let's just say it was $5,000, it's 10% sales tax. That's another $500. So you're looking at $5,500 plus shipping. You're looking at almost $6,000 again for this guitar. So now I'm getting, I'm a little upset, but you go to their, the shop, and, a lot of times on Reverb, it'll say, like mine says like Steve's Guitar Boutique. So it looks like a storefront, but you realize it's just some guy in his house. It's just some person, right? But when you go to their other listings, if they have 200 listings, most likely they're a guitar shop. They're not just some person selling stuff out of their basement. So I go to Austin Vintage Guitars, I click on their shop, and they have, I don't know, 75 different listings for all different guitars. I go to Google, Austin Vintage Guitars, there's the website. I go through their website, there's the listing for this guitar. So I call them up, and I talk to a really nice guy. I think his name was Tyler, if I remember correctly. And I'm like, hey, I'm in Tennessee. I don't want to pay sales tax. I don't want to pay, crazy shipping and stuff like that. I was like, would you consider doing $4,800 all in, shipped to me in Tennessee? And he was like, absolutely, we'll do it. We'll even throw in a t-shirt. Like, he didn't even hesitate. There was no haggling with me. And I thought that was a fair price, right? Because, they're asking 51. They're going to get 7% taken away from them from Reverb. So that brings it down to like that's like what's 7% of $5,000? I don't even know. Let's just do 10% just to make, just for shits and giggles. That would have been $4,500 that they would have cleared anyway. And then they would have, charged me sales tax on top of it. So, which they don't get. And then they would have to ship it. So you're probably looking around that price. So I was like, listen, $4,800 all in, we'll do it right. I'll buy it right now. And they were like, yeah, sure. No problem. We'll have it sent out today. They did the transaction with me, and it was great. However, it didn't have the Varitone switch. So what I did was I was watching my friend Paul on Guitar Gear Connection, and he was drilling into his guitar, putting in these mute knobs for his Gretsch. And I was like, man, I just get the guts up and just do it, right? So now I'm looking online. How do you install a Varitone? I go on Reverb. I buy a Varitone switch. Obviously, you can see it right there. I bought a Varitone switch. And what I noticed about Paul's guitar, his Gretsch, is that Gretches have access panels in the back of their guitars because it's much easier to work on the stuff inside of it. So they have this big kind of pad on the back of a Gretsch. Actually, let me show you. I have one to show you. So here's my 1964 Chet Atkins 6120 Gretsch. And you can see there's a big pad in the back. This pad is not to protect the guitar from buckle rash. That's what a lot of people say. It's there to hide the big hole that's in the back of the guitar, because that's how they wire the pickups, and that's how they put all the electronics in without having to fish them through the F-holes, because these don't actually have F-holes. These are fake F-holes, right? So this is actually a mute. You can see the mute right there. That's a piece of foam, and it's controlled with this knob here. So Paul installed these knobs on his guitar, but they're not functional. So that gave me the idea of, okay, these have traditional F-holes, but how the heck, even if I drill a hole through here, which I don't mind, I'll give it a shot. I'll give anything a shot. And how bad could it be? I put a hole in it, and I put the thing in it. There's a washer and a nut underneath it that I attach it to. But how the heck am I going to get my fingers in there to hold the bottom and screw the nut in from inside the guitar when there's no access panel? It has to all go through this F-hole. So I thought to myself, and I did a lot of research on it, and it's not an easy task. And then I said to myself, all right, well, I'm thinking about changing this pickup to a custom bucker because I really like the custom buckers that are in my R9. I was like, what if I just bring it into somebody, have them change the pickup, have them put the Varitone switch in? I don't even want the electronics hooked up. I just want the knob, the switch installed on the guitar so it would look like Noel's. And I was like, you know what? That's going to cost me so much money. It's probably going to cost me upwards, probably $500 to $800 to have all that work done. Do I really need to drill into this guitar? So what I did was I got all the stuff for this knob, and I took off the plate, and I took off the rotary switch there. And don't kill me, but I epoxied this to the top of the guitar. It's not functional. It's purely aesthetic, and it is not moving ever again unless the finish comes off this guitar. You can't turn this knob at all. That knob is epoxied to the little gold plate, and that gold plate is epoxied to the body surface of the guitar. It is strictly there for looks. I think I nailed it, to be honest. I decided to put it, in that direction. It doesn't matter what direction it goes into. But if you take a look at pictures of Noel's guitar, I tried to estimate where it would go, and I don't think you can tell, to be honest. I'll try to put a picture up for you of Noel's guitar, but I think it looks pretty awesome. I think it looks pretty good. You'd never know the difference. Now, here's the whole point of this episode. Have any of you done something like that? Are all of your modifications functional? Right? I've done functional modifications. I've installed a pickup here and there. I don't like doing it because I'm not a great solderer, but I've installed pickups before. I've replaced hardware. I've replaced tuning machines. I've replaced plenty of knobs. This guitar actually came with just the black top knobs. And Noel's guitar has the reflector knobs, so I put the reflector knobs on to look like Noel's. I've put Bigsby's on guitars by myself. I've put strap locks in. I've changed pick guards. I've done silly things like that. I've never installed pots before. I've never installed a Varitone switch. I've never done any of that stuff. But this was purely aesthetic. And I've done this a lot to Rickenbackers. I take off the white pick guards on Rickenbackers. I put gold ones on. I take off the traditional Rick knobs, and I put the big oven knobs on there. Truss rod covers from Rickenbacker, I change them all the time. This was really the first kind of expensive Gibson that I really tried to mess around with. I had a Flying V that I tried to route out for a different pick guard, and I destroyed that thing. And I never thought I was going to sell it until 3 days ago. I did a trade with somebody for an amp, and he's like, "Do you have anything else you want to sell?" And I was like, "Well, I have this V, but I did a lot of work to it that you probably don't want." And he goes, "No, bring it over and we'll see." And he gave me $1,000 for it. So, and I told him, I was like, underneath this pick guard, it's kind of mangled, but it all works and it's all functional. But that's what I did. That's what I did. Tell me if you hate it. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you've done anything like that before. Have you done anything drastic to a guitar? Because that's there for good. Like if you take this off, I'm not sure. I've never done any research about getting epoxy off, but I'm pretty sure epoxy is a permanent thing. If you take this off, you're going to have a big area that's going to be missing the finish. Okay. So that's that. And it's in a place. It doesn't get in the way of anything. I don't really use these two knobs. I usually just use the one volume knob on the bridge. But this guitar is really cool. It sounds pretty cool. It's not as good as the one I traded for it, to be honest. But I didn't play it a lot. I'm not a big player of semi-hollows. When I play with the band, I kind of just noodle around with them and on the couch and stuff like that. That's typically when I play these guitars. I really would like to bring this out though. If I can change the pickup to a custom bucker and see how it sounds. I plugged it in with this. It's a classic 57 humbucker right now, and it's nice. It's good. It doesn't have that clarity that the custom bucker does. Right, the custom bucker that I have in my R9 and the custom bucker that I have in that Pelham Blue SG on the wall, that Murphy Lab SG. There's a clarity to the pickups that you just hear every single note ring out. Where these classic 57s, they have the punch and they have the power for sure. There's no doubt about that. But it's kind of just messy to me. That's the only way I can really, make it describe the sound that I'm hearing. It's just kind of like not defined, undefined, I guess. Where you just hear the notes fine, but you don't hear individual notes. If that makes sense. You hear chords fine, but you don't hear individual notes clear. And that's kind of what I want to hear. So I'm gonna try to put the custom buckers in here with the Alnico 3 magnets and see how I get. It plays really nice. The neck is good. This is one of the Richlight fingerboards. It's not ebony. It's Richlight, and Richlight is like some type of composite that they made in this era. But this is one of the Memphis ones. You can see it's a black, and they painted inside of it black, and that's a dead giveaway that it's a Memphis factory guitar. And from what I understand, the Memphis factory guitars are either amazing or they're not good. There's really no in between from what I see online about the Memphis factory guitars. But I really like this. It plays well. It's balanced nice. It's set up really well. The finish is beautiful. So I have no complaints about the guitar, except the pickups. I'm just not into them that much. But ever since I got the R9, it kind of ruined modern pickups for me. I like all my vintage Gibson pickups because I think they've mellowed out over the years. And if they were kind of undefined, they've definitely mellowed out over the years. I have a vintage 77 Les Paul Special that sounds amazing. That Pelham Blue SG sounds great. My R9 sounds great. I have an early 2000s Firebird with humbuckers. That sounds great. And that 64 SG up there, right there, that Junior, that sounds amazing. It's just the newer Les Paul Custom 70s that I have. That sounds a little messy to me. Those pickups sound a little too much going on, right? I want it a little bit more defined, and I don't want to say compressed, but I want to hear the notes more. I want to hear all the strings more instead of just a mash of notes. And that's kind of what I hear with this guitar. So I'm gonna change that out. I have some points over at Musician's Friend, so I'll get the pickup for free. And then I'll just have someone install it, or I can try it myself. But I'm not gonna do it on this because I've never had to fish in here before and do that. And hopefully they don't break off my my Varitone switch. But yeah, let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments. Give me a follow. Follow me on Instagram, and we'll play out. I'll play some Oasis riffs on here for you. I'm gonna go through my Mesa Boogie Badlander. It's not exactly the amp that I would probably put this guitar through. I would definitely put this guitar through that orange, and I would definitely put this guitar through that Ampliphonics and Gain Amplified Nation guitar amp. And I just got that Bogner Shiva. That Bogner Shiva is really cool. I really like that amp. But everybody's sleeping. I can't mic stuff up, so I'm just gonna go direct out from my Mesa Boogie Badlander 50 into the board, and that's what you're gonna hear. So thanks everybody. I appreciate you watching, appreciate you commenting and leaving some love on the show. Hopefully we'll get some more of these videos out. And until next time, peace out everybody. Thanks.